Today we're going to talk about project management with remote teams for game development. Now this is targeting specifically people that are new to project management, students that are possibly in one of my classes that are trying to do their first major game design project. But before we get started, make sure you hit that like and subscribe to pay the class fee. What is a project? A project is defined as something that has a specific start and end date. It will accomplish specific goals. In our case, those goals are going to be defined by our game design document. Now, we use a template for our game design classes for students to be able to figure out exactly what their game is going to be. If you'd like to see our game design template, make sure you tell me in the comment. Once we have a game design document, we need to make sure that everybody is on board. Our stakeholders agree with what we're trying to build. That is a key process for doing any type of game design project. Everybody has to be in agreement as to what we're trying to build. We need buy-in from everybody. Now, once we have a larger company, or we've gone indie, or we're a small game design company, those stakeholders might be external people that are helping to fund this project. After we have a clear understanding of what it is we're trying to build, we need to get started on our project. There are three elements to every project management. We have cost, we have time, and we have the quality or scope of the project. This is going to vary from project to project as to which is the most important. For students in our classes, time is usually the most important element, followed by the cost because they don't have any money. Time, though, is our limiting factor because it has to be completed by the end of the semester. So time is one of the things that cannot be changed or is immutable. Cost is also important, which means probably the scope or the quality is going to be the thing that needs to change as the project progresses. Once we have an understanding of what the most important factors are, then we can start building the task list. Now, our task list is just that. It is a list of all the tasks that need to be done for the project. When we're creating a task list, frequently if we're doing this face-to-face instead of as a remote team, we're going to use a tool like Post-it notes and a whiteboard and just simply have everybody get a marker and start writing down what the tasks are. So creating the assets, creating the audio, deciding what game engine to use, what are the signature moves, animations that are going to be included, the programming scripts that need to be created for the project. We don't want to get too granular on this. We got to find the right size. We don't want to list something as do programming. That's too big. We need to break it down into the scripts that need to be developed for that specific project. We also want to make sure that we list the assets, but at an appropriate level. So environment creation or asset creation. Don't get too bogged down in the details at this point. That comes at the next stage where we're developing the Kanban. The next step to this project then is to get everybody together, start creating your task list. And if you're doing that remotely, you can use a tool like Google's Jamboard. Jamboard makes it real easy for remote teams to be able to quickly create a task list. Once you have a full task list, the next step is to figure out the order or the sequence that these things need to be done. So if we have a good idea of what needs to be done, then we can start creating how long we expect each task to take. Now, in a later tutorial, we'll talk about how to figure out how to allow time for problems to happen because they inevitably will. But at this point, we're just trying to get a general approximation. How long is it going to take us to make the assets? How long is it going to take to make the sound effects? How long is it going to take to make the animations? List these in weeks. If we're talking about a general semester, you might have 8 weeks to work on a project or 16 weeks to work on a project. How much of that time is each of these going to take to complete? Once we have an idea of the time, what is our time critical path? What's going to take the longest sequence to finish the entire project? This will give us an idea of how big the entire project is. Now, if it goes over our time limit, we need to start cutting features, figure out where we can reduce our time efforts in this so that we can finish the project on time. After you have your time critical path figured out, then you're ready for step 3, which will be using a tool like Trello or a spreadsheet to actually get down into the nitty-gritty of what the individual tasks are and who that's going to be assigned to. And we'll cover that in our next tutorial.